So the Competition Commission says pharmaceutical companies have agreed to reduce the price of the COVID-19 PCR test from 850 Rand to 500 Rands. The agreement was reached between the Competition Tribunal and private laboratories. Competition Commissioner Tembinkosi Bonakele joins us now for more on this. Good afternoon, Tembinkosi. I'd say it's long overdue. It's taken almost 2 years to arrive at this 500 Rand fee for PCR tests. Just talk to us about this groundbreaking agreement.
Thanks very much. Actually, it has not really taken 2 years. We got a complaint in October this year, 2021. We investigated it, and we found that there was some excessive pricing, and we moved swiftly to get an interim relief. And as we were doing that, we informed the respondents, which was Empath, Lancet, as well as Pathcare. Two of those, Empath and Lancet, decided to settle the matter. So it was quite swift, and I think it was quite significant to move the price from 850 to 500. I think what you may be referring to is the period of the pandemic.
Yes, because we've been paying 850 for the past 20 months to be exact. To be exact.
Perhaps let me give you a background in that. The price for testing this when the pandemic set in was around 1.4, and we then intervened and got a block exemption done by government, which basically allowed the Minister of Health to negotiate with these laboratories, and they negotiated a price of 850, and that was down from about 1.4, and that was fair at the time. But what has happened is that since then, the cost of testing, as well as the volume, should have necessitated a further decrease in pricing. That didn't occur. So it doesn't mean that over the 2 years, 850 was necessarily unfair. But what we have here, and I want to emphasize this, what we have here is that the price decreases over time. And one would expect that the industry decrease those prices concomitant with their cost decreases, and that didn't occur, and that's why we pursued this case.
Okay, so my understanding is that the volumes increased, and with the increase in volumes, it allows for a reduction in fee. Is that what you're saying?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and then have you, though, been able to roughly quantify how much these laboratories would have benefited with this pricing abuse, if you will? Because some are still saying it was an abuse. They were allowed to start at 1.4. It still could have actually been reduced a bit earlier. I hear what you're saying, that you believe it was a fair price to be at 1.4, move to 850 and then 500. But some in society are still of the view that it in fact was an abuse. But have you been able to quantify at the very least how much they've made nevertheless? Because some say it's around 8 billion if we take the 20 months into account and the number of tests conducted. Were you able to quantify?
No. We work on numbers. We have those numbers. We've worked on them. We know precisely what are the margins they were making pre-COVID, and we know the margins they are making post-COVID. And we are satisfied that 500 Rands will leave them with a profit, but that profit will be consistent with what they made pre-COVID. So you see, this idea that they have been making money is correct. I mean, there has been a demand for testing, and they would make money out of increasing demands. But what we don't want is an exploitation of the situation to get to profiteering or super profiteering situation. And this is what we have stopped with this 500 price now.
Particularly profiteering during a pandemic.
But
yes, I'm saying particularly
that's
profiteering during a pandemic, because, I mean, this speaks of ethics. But you spoke of one particular laboratory that hasn't entered into this agreement. What are the reasons there?
Well, we don't know. You better ask them. It's Pathcare. Pathcare is one of the top 3 laboratories in the country. They have not settled with us. We don't really understand what their justification is. And we hope that with this settlement, that they will come on board as well.
So there's no way of strong arming them at this point to perhaps bring them back to the negotiation table to say this is in the benefit or interest of society. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We need more people to test. So it would assist in the fight against COVID if you were to lower your price.
Well, the best strong arm thing we could do is to announce this settlement with others. So we hope that they will fall into place. But make no mistake, we're absolutely prepared to litigate this matter. And if we can't agree with them, we will move to the tribunal to apply for an interim relief. And our interim relief application will be in line with this settlement agreement, namely that 500 rands, including VAT, for PCR tests across the board. And this is what we expect everybody to follow.
Okay. And then just lastly, this settlement agreement only speaks to the reduction of the fee, not necessarily a penalty, perhaps a contribution to the fight against COVID from those 2 laboratories, nothing of that sort.
Good question. Yes, nothing of that sort. And this is a compromise we have reached. It was not easy to drop them to 500, and we felt that dropping them to that level would kind of offset what would have been penalties as a result of this. So we wanted a swift and also immediate remedy. So instead of investigating and prosecuting them for a year or 2, we decided that we would forgo the penalty for these price reductions.
All right. Now, Tembinkosi, thank you very much. That was Competition Commissioner Tembinkosi Bonakele on that agreement with pharmaceutical companies on reducing the price of PCR tests for COVID-19.